Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nick, your host for the Omniverse of Nick. And welcome to the one-parter Lord of the Rings What If Gollum Turned Good. Been a minute since we were on a Lord of the Rings What If, but you guys are going to like this one. So before we get into today's episode, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick channel, and share and comment new suggestions, favorite stories, anything like that. And check out the Google Doc in the description of this video and all posts and videos to stay updated with all future stuff for the channel. With all that said, let's get into this next story and the first Lord of the Rings What If in quite a while. What if Gollum from The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies turned good? Now, for those of you fans of Gollum's character, you know his original name was Smeagol, and he was no different than a hobbit. But the ring, finding it from Isildur, it corrupted him, made him kill Deagle, and then over the course of the entire history of seeing him, we would see his persona shift between Smeagol and Gollum, and it would corrupt him until his death. And more times than not, that evil side would show. And he was pretty freaking scary in the times that he was shown, especially against Frodo and Sam. Very malicious, especially with Sheila. But in the end, when all was said and done, even if it were on accident or on purpose, his death meant the end of Sauron holding the ring in his last moments. So while it really would be impossible to fully redeem Gollum, showing that he could be good at least for much more of a time than he was, is something we could definitely see happen. So that's what I'm here for. So let's set the scene. We open up with Frodo, Sam, and Smeagol, we're going to call him for the good duration of the story, all under Faramir's watch and looking down at Gollum, Smeagol, in the Forbidden Pool. And Faramir about to launch a barrage of attacks because enter the Forbidden Pool, penalty of death, blah, blah, blah. But Frodo tells Faramir that he's their guide and that he just wants to go down to him. Faramir's about to acknowledge and agree with this, but Sam knows that he's playing a trick. Something's up. Sam's around this time, and he tells Faramir that he knows why Boromir died, and he basically spills those beans early and even drops more bombshells that just to make Faramir understand and cooperate with them, even if they're under his, capture at the moment. This is all to make Faramir try and understand and help Frodo. So Faramir listens to all of this, and like before, he listens and acknowledges it, but because he wants to know where this creature is leading them, and about the ring and all that stuff, he really, really doesn't want to have to listen to these two. But Frodo tells him some more that, like it or not, he has been good to them. Smeagol has been good to Frodo and Sam this entire time, and is leading them to destroy the ring once and for all. This is where the ring fully, is revealed to Faramir. And says they can't do that without a guide that actually knows Mordor. Faramir listens, and he agrees, but he says that creature, he knows, is hiding something. And whether or not he's a good guide, Mordor, all that stuff, he knows that something is up. So, he will help them a little ways. But if they really want that creature to be their guide, he won't stop them. But he wants them to get this done, if this really is how they want to do this. For Boromir, especially. So the three of them are followed with Faramir into the city. That whole thing plays out the same. The whole thing. Except much more lightly without Smeagol being mad at Frodo and Sam for being betrayed. And then we get to the scene of all four of them and they're about to leave, and Faramir goes off on his way, when Sam talks to Smeagol about everything, and Smeagol's happy. He is just his normal self. So, even though he wasn't betrayed, he's still... that Smeagol Gollum persona is starting to shift back into place just a tiny little bit. And Sam can notice something's up. Some kind of... it's not truly noticeable, but he pulls out his blade, thinking that Gollum, the creature, is just going to attack him and Frodo again, try to snap the ring, and then just run off. But Smeagol just sits down, looking sad. He was just happy 2 seconds ago, and now he's just looking all sad, and says very quietly that he lied to both the hobbits. Sam comes over and asks him what he means. And Smeagol seems genuine and everything like that, and Sam feels like this is the perfect moment, especially for him to actually have a heart-to-heart conversation, because he doesn't see a monster. He sees a person who's genuinely upset. So he asks him, what does he mean? Smeagol comes clean. He says that yes, the winding stair and the tunnel are a way to get into Mordor, but the tunnel, it was a trap. Smeagol could have just taken them to the winding stair and then just around, but another part of him just wanted to take them into the tunnel where Shelob the spider was going to devour them and then take the ring for himself. And he begins to break down, saying that he's sorry. But Sam says that him coming clean about it this way and talking about it, that's good. That's a step towards redemption in his eyes. And he asks Smeagol, there is another way past the winding stair, right? And Smeagol says yes, but even if that were the case, he doesn't know if he is going to be trusted or if Sam or Master will even trust him anymore. He just feels like what he was always said to be, a monster. Sam talks to Frodo about this, and they look down at Smeagol. And Sam, for the first time since he has met Smeagol, feels like he is seeing something, someone other than a monster. And Frodo, he feels even more bad, because he was on Smeagol's side this entire time. So they trust him and say they will still continue to trust him as their guide, provided they take the right way and not the trap way, which they should guarantee will happen now that Smeagol has come clean. And as long as Smeagol takes them the right way, all is forgiven. And Smeagol feels new light within him. He's being trusted by Master and the other hobbit, Sam. In his eyes, he is just completely overcome with joy, and he promises them. So once they get past and halfway up the winding stair, there's not going to be trying to get rid of Sam with the food and everything like that, and trying to turn him against Frodo, because this time Sam is on his side. Other than that, once they get up to the top of the winding stair, they talk about another way to get into Mordor past the tunnel so they can avoid that spider. So, Smeagol thinks, and they manage to go around the tunnel, a safe route, and end up past the tower that Frodo was taken to after he was stabbed by Shelob. They managed to avoid the orcs there, and even if they somehow managed to get into a scuffle with like 2 or 3 of them, they would just kill them and then take the costumes like they did before to get further, which would take them about the same amount of time, all of this to the point where they were originally going to Mount Doom. By this point, Frodo and Sam with the costumes together. It would be around the same time with everything considered. But Frodo is very weak at this point. And with Gollum by his side, Smeagol, the two of them together carry Frodo up to the fires and gates of Mount Doom. There, Frodo holds the ring over the edge, ready to plunge it into the fires of Mount Doom. but the ring corrupts him, and he puts it on. Smeagol cannot believe what he is seeing. For the first time, truthfully, he is seeing a mere image of himself in Frodo, corrupted and controlled by the ring. But just at that moment, the Gollum side of him, that ring side of him, corrupts him again, seeing someone else with the ring clutched. And he knows, even the half of him that's still around with Smeagol's side knows what he has to do. He bites Frodo's finger off, takes the ring for himself, but that side of him that's been Smeagol for so much longer now than Gollum, at least with the time he spent with Frodo and Sam, sees that Frodo's about to lunge at him without him being off guard when he lunges him over the edge. And that Gollum and Smeagol's side is fighting so desperately to gain control. Ring or his master. Ring or his master. It's just fighting him to the core. And they get into a big ultimate struggle where Frodo pins Gollum on the ground, ready to kill him. And a very reminiscent situation as to when they first met, with the blade over Gollum's throat. And Gollum cannot believe what he is seeing. His master, who he had finally found redemption with, is literally about to kill him, corrupted by the ring. And with that Gollum side getting pushed ever so closer to corrupting him, Smeagol knows that there is only one way to save his master's life, his sanity, and to keep the ring by his side and destroy it once and for all of those things. He gets a foot free and flings himself off, kicking Frodo in the stomach, flinging himself off of the cliff, sacrificing himself, falling into the fires of Mount Doom with the ring in his arms, killing both himself and the ring, sacrificing himself for Frodo. And he sees this. Frodo sees Gollum for much more now. His mind clear now. He did this for him. And with this, Sauron, all of his followers, Mordor, all of it, is destroyed. Gollum, his death here, meant more than it ever did. Doing this for Frodo and Sam and the world and himself. The Eagles save Sam and Frodo. They reunite with everybody. And in the end, Frodo goes off. With Gandalf, Galadriel, off with the boats to the Undying Lands. But he and everyone else in all of Middle-earth onward, including Sam himself, would never forget of the once corrupted and yet amazing creature, Gollum or Smeagol, that saved Frodo and Sam and all of Middle-earth. And so, the Gollum story is wrapped up in one fell part, and that is basically it. Gollum got to redeem his character to the best standard of which I could make it. I could have just been like, what if Gollum never got the ring? But that would have been Smeagol, and that would have made for an entirely new kind of story. So I thought that it best to make it to the point where Faramir ultimately, like, for those of you who are Lord of the Rings fans, you'd be able to tell that Faramir was the almost root cause of Gollum betraying Frodo and Sam, Smeagol, whatever the frick you want to call him. But it's down to a number of things. But the betrayal, in that sense, betrayal, was a thing. So I basically made it to the point where I could make a compelling story while still not taking away from how far influenced Smeagol was Gollum to the ring. Which is why, by the end, which is what some other people have done with Gollum being redeemed, I did it in a bit of a different way while still remaining true to the subject and to ideas of others while keeping it my own, obviously, because me. But I hope you guys enjoyed this Lord of the Rings What If. Haven't done an actual one of these since me in Lord of the Rings and since Frodo being a ring wraith. So this is a fun little jab at another Lord of the Rings What If. Truly, there are far more to come and far more stories to come, plenty of which on the list right now I know you guys are looking forward to. And even though by the time I am done with this, I'll be taking a break to remain 5 projects ahead, those projects will still be getting worked on as the other ones are uploaded and looked over. So don't worry, you'll see your favorite stories pop up. And I know that there are way more than plenty of these left in the future, with both me and you guys. So, hit that like, subscribe, and comment button, and I'll see you guys in the next tale.